Hello my loves, how are ya? It's Sean back again with the next video to come out of Star Trek Day 2021. This one is in regards to our very lovely, sometimes quite polarising, but very exciting Star Trek Picard. Now Season 1, people certainly have an awful lot to say. So going into Season 2, there's a lot of both expectation and some trepidation as to where the franchise is going to go. Now, some nerves were put to sleep immediately by the announcement that John Delancey would be returning as Q in Season 2, and any that hadn't been allayed, I won't say any, most that hadn't been allayed, were then made feel just a little bit better by his appearance and that just little tiny teaser where we see him and Jean-Luc having a bit of an exchange. It's all very just, yeah. While we go through all of the tidbits from the trailer that dropped yesterday as part of Star Trek Day, there's just a couple of tiny little bits of information from behind the scenes, which I just thought bore mentioning here. First of all, Michael Chabon, who was the showrunner on Season 1, now we knew this already, he is not returning as showrunner for Season 2. Those duties are going to Akiva Goldsman and Terry Matalas. Now, Chabon is still staying around as both a writer and a producer, so he's not gone altogether. Jonathan Frakes is returning to direct as well. And also, and I just thought this was cool, Leah Thompson, who was of course Lorraine in the Back to the Future movies, is directing in Season 2 as well. Because I love having Back to the Future and Star Trek joined together. Much like a certain film where we went searching for a certain Vulcan and a certain mad professor was in charge of a certain Klingon bird of prey until Kirk had had about enough of you. Okay, so the trailer. Now, the trailer opens with a voiceover from everyone's favourite Irish woman, Orla Brady. Laris is definitely returning in Season 2, which is great because if not, I might have rioted. She says of Picard that she used to think he was a man who was always seeking the stars, but then posits the question, was he seeking or was he running from something? Now, this is played over footage of him walking through a ruined greenhouse, picking up a shard of stained glass window which shows a rose. Now, as it stands, I'm not sure if the rose itself has significance, more so the fact that this is a part of Picard's past, because there are little clips dotted through the trailer of a younger Picard in this exact greenhouse, and we will come back to in a moment why he is in this particular ruin at this time. Now, very quickly, we get John Delancey, and he's walking up and he says, "Don't you remember what I said to you the last time we met? The trial never ends." What I really liked was how this older Picard reacts to this. Now, Chris, get ready on the edit button, because to quote Picard, "Q, I am too old for your bullshit." It looks like Q is not a fan of swearing, because over the word we get... Oh, I've missed that. Now, we then get a scene set in Hong Kong, and the skyscraper, the Central Plaza, there is an explosion that seems to at least blow the top off it, and we then get a shot of Elnor and two other presumably Romulan refugees running through the streets. Now, this is our indication that we've moved to the new timeline that, very quickly, Q is accused of having created. We get a quote from Rios as he is kind of thrown forward into the console of La Sirena, "Something moved us." Then Picard says, Q went back in time, and now we have this totalitarian regime, over some impressive shots of Picard standing in front of a chanting crowd with a de-Borgified 7 of 9 standing beside him in a very militaristic lieutenant pose. I'm just going to say, asterisk here, this is just wild speculation. I think this is a red herring. The idea of Q going back and changing, because Q has been mischievous, Q has been frankly dangerous in the past, but this is a pretty evil thing to do. Although I suppose the same could be true of sending the Enterprise D into the path of that Borg cube in System J25. While, yes, it alerted the Federation to the danger of the Borg, 18 crewmen were still killed that day. And as Q said, if you can't take a little bloody nose, go home. What remains to be seen is Q's motives for sending them, not sending them back in time, but creating the need for them to go back in time. Seven then says the phrase, "Time has been broken." Not changed, broken. So what does this mean? Does this mean that we have several parallel timelines running into one? Is that why they can still remember what's happening? Now, although Star Trek has many times before had the main protagonists aware of the changes in the timeline, so I'm sure that can be explained away in a skip and a jump. But what is actually going on here? And if so, what is this "time is broken" actually referring to? Now, there's a quick shot of the updated comm badges that they're wearing in this season, and it looks like something of an enlarged delta, but the bars that would be reminiscent of the badges from Future Imperfect are emblazoned over the delta as well. Now, as you know, Future Imperfect was a fake future created in a holographic setting by Barash, who wanted Riker to stay around and be his dad, and it was all very heartwarming in the end. But it did show not a dystopian future, but certainly a future that they weren't really massively fans of. But it did show in that imagined holographic future, the Federation and the Romulans were buddies. And as we know, the groundwork has been laid for that in Picard Season 1. We get our first shot of Annie Wershing in full makeup as the Queen. Now, much like the Borg themselves have been redesigned for Star Trek Picard, I am sure, and not that I'm saying you're wrong or anything, but I'm sure there's going to be people who will both love this and both hate this. And you know what? Fair, it is quite different. Now, she's still very recognisably a Borg Queen, but she doesn't look like Alice Krige or Susanna Thompson's incarnations of the Queen, which were more or less the same. Now, there is a shot of plugging Picard's memories into this Queen, presumably in a way to convince her to send them through time. Now, we know from Star Trek First Contact that the Borg can move through time as easily as a warm knife goes through butter. Why they haven't used time travel more often, who's to say? But this is in a way to send them back to the 21st century. Obviously, if we're connecting Picard to the Borg Queen for however short a time, odds are we might get some shades of Locutus. But that's not in the trailer yet, so we'll have to wait and see. Earth of the 21st century. Alright lads, doors open, come in and have a coffee. Now, straight away, one of my favourite things already from this trailer is Raffi and Seven together. I love Raffi's line here. She says to Seven, "You can pilot a starship, but you can't drive a car." And Seven's reaction is about how I react when people tell me I'm bad at driving. She slams on the gas and away she goes. So, you know, more power to her. There's a little intercut with Jurati, who I have a strained relationship with Jurati as a character because I'm not entirely convinced they represented her as best they could in Season 1. I'm excited and ready for more Jurati in Season 2, and I like to see where they're going with her. And I love that she manages to encourage Raffi and Seven to communicate better, to which they both shout simultaneously, "Jurati!" And she goes, "Well, hey, I'm doing my job right." I liked that. I thought that was a nice little joke. We then get a nice shot of a slightly triumphant looking Jean-Luc in black tie. I would argue everyone looks triumphant in black tie, with a very short insert of what seems to be Picard and Jurati arriving at Chateau Picard. Now, I can only assume this is Chateau Picard of the 21st century, and it is certainly an abandoned home at this point. We then get, because you have to have a time clock on these things, we get Picard saying very dramatically, "We only have 3 days to set the future correct," because of course they do. Now, because this is serialized television, I'm willing to bet those 3 days will be roughly, 10 episodes long. We'll see how that goes as well and how that plays out. We get another quick shot of Q then wearing, rather than say a Starfleet uniform, he's wearing a Europa badge on his chest, and there's another quick click there which cuts to what seems to be Soji hiding in a forest with someone who could be either a Vulcan or a Romulan and a child as well. So what are they waiting for? Are they being hunted? Are they in the past or the future? Because there are some shots that seem to suggest Soji is in the past, although we haven't seen her really with the rest of the crew yet. There are interspersed in the trailer several shots which suggest to me a young Picard at home in Chateau Picard. And there is a woman who looks, well, in my opinion, incredibly like Saoirse Ronan, sitting there, you know, kind of gesturing to the sky. And my little Star Trek Picard speculation, hashtag that, is that this is his Aunt Adele encouraging him with some warm milk and a dash of nutmeg to go and explore the stars. We cut back to this very different iteration of the Borg Queen, leaning forward in what seems like it's restraints, but also looks like she's being held aloft, that she can't hold herself up. And she's standing in front of Jurati. And it looks for all of the world like Jurati's heart is breaking for her, and she seems to be in genuine pain. Don't trust the Borg. I don't mean individual Borg like Hugh or Seven, I mean the Borg with a capital B. Like, Jurati's kind of begging to get assimilated there. Not that I've any problem with changing up the Queen. If the Queen has been cut off from the collective, then it would be very interesting to see who was the body that was assimilated to become this Queen. On the other hand, if the Queen herself is the collective, then can the Borg survive if there is only one drone? I would imagine that yes is the answer to that. Either way, Jurati, maybe take a step back. Now another voiceover suggests that there's going to be some sad times ahead, and we get a flash of Raffi looking very upset and Elnor looking very in pain on a biobed. But then this changes to my favourite shot of the entire trailer, which is Black Tie Rios and Black Tie Jean-Luc standing behind, just covering their eyes from, again, the wonderful Orla Brady, Laris, who is all dressed up and ready to kick ass, and she seems to be Men in Black flashy thinging some people. And I'm cool with that. I'm very cool with that. My favourite shot of the entire trailer, easily. Now after that there's a couple of rapid shots. It looks like Elnor fighting some people in the future, and then we have a shot of a mugger picking absolutely the wrong woman to try and mug when Raffi kicks the crap out of him. And this has been said online already, you'll see shades of Star Trek IV The Voyage Home. You see Rios in cuffs elbowing a guard in the face, but then you also get what seems to be Jean-Luc in an interview room with a policeman, and there are cuffs on the table, and I swear, if Picard doesn't finish that scene by going, "Really, I am very sorry about this, I will have to stun you," I apologise for my accent, but just the warm memory of Voyage Home in this scene alone. We have a lot to get through in terms of Season 2 of Picard. We know that Season 3 has been confirmed. We've known that for a while, but it was nice of them to announce it again yesterday. Thank you very much. And I am super excited to see where this goes. Let us know what you are feeling yourself. Now, this is not the last video of the day. That poor Chris, who we have locked in a basement in Trek Culture Towers editing away at these, will not be happy to hear me say. However, guys, let us know what you think of the Star Trek Picard trailer. Thanks to you, we are up at 140,000 subscribers. It takes 1 second and one click of a button to subscribe. Funny thing, about 70% of the people watching our videos, and we love every one of you, are not subscribing. My friends, please do. We can reach you quicker. We can bring you news quicker. We could go for coffee. We could be friends. Am I not allowed to promise that? We can reach you quicker. We can bring you news quicker. Click on that subscribe button. Guys, as ever, you've been lovely. I have been Sean for Trek Culture. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. You can catch us over on all the socials at Trek Culture. You can catch myself on the socials at Sean Ferrick. I will see you very soon. Chris's eye just twitched. You are lovely. Live long and prosper.